Starting your day off with a take on Vegas you won't get anywhere else.
Hi, I'm Holly Madison, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hi, this is William Shatner, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and I listen to Brian Shapiro. Why? Because I'm a good American. So is he. And if you don't listen to him, you need to pack up and leave this country.
This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Come on, guys!
What's up, everybody? It is the Vegas Take. Happy Friday. We got through the week. Well, we're not through it yet. We still got to get through this show. But glad you can join us. We got a lot to get to today, as we always do. And the amazing thing, from a gambling perspective, I thought it was, plus money that my co-host, J.D. Sharp, would show up on time today. But he is here, so I was wrong. J.D., thank you for being here on time today. I appreciate that.
I love making you look stupid.
Yes, thank you. You do that every day, so I appreciate that.
And the nice thing is, you don't have to work very hard at it, J.D.
It's not much of a task these days.
You might, so for those of you that might be wondering, that's not my voice. I don't sound like an 85-year-old man. That's sorry, Dennis. I had to do that to you. Dennis Silvers is the golf guru. Dennis, you didn't even let me properly introduce you today. You're just taking over the show.
I've got my mouth zipped, so you can do that.
That's okay. Well, Dennis, I appreciate you coming on.
Anytime.
You knew the insults would be flying.
I always.
That's what I do.
That's why I come.
But I appreciate you coming in studio.
Anytime.
And we're going to be having some fun today, and I want you to chime in on any of the topics we talk about. I know that you are known as the golf guru. We will talk a little bit of golf coming up.
Good.
But coming up in hour number 2, we'll talk to Brett Smiley. Brett is with sportshandle.com. Something new on national ESPN, a gambling show, believe it or not. First time ever they've had that, a national gambling show on television. And Doug Kazarian, you might remember that.
With our friend.
Yeah, Doug Kazarian used to work here as a sports anchor and reporter, and so we're going to talk to Brett a little bit about that coming up. But I got more fish to fry to start this show. Let's get right into it. As you know, yesterday we did about 90 minutes talking about the Otto Warmbier situation and the comments, the disgraceful comments that Donald Trump made yesterday. And the Otto Warmbier's family have responded to this. And if you don't remember exactly what happened or you don't know, basically Donald Trump said he believed Kim Jong Un when Kim Jong Un said that he didn't know anything about this situation with what happened to Otto, even though what people say in this country, our intelligence says he was in a vegetative state for 12 months or 14 months, forgive me. And Trump acts like a complete buffoon up there on the stage, the same way he did when he was standing next to Vladimir Putin. And do we even remember this? Donald Trump, remember when he held that press conference and he walked back earlier comments about Russia's involvement in the 2016 election? Remember when he was speaking from a script, Trump said he misspoke? He said he meant to say, I don't see any reason why it would have been Russia in interference, but that's not what he said on stage because he's a coward. And he walks back his comments, and that's exactly what he did over the course of the last few days. Donald Trump went on Twitter, and I'll get to that in a second, but first I want to read the statement that Otto's family put out earlier today. Keep in mind, Donald Trump invited Otto Warmbier's parents to the State of the Union last year, basically promising them that he would do whatever he could to find out who did this. This is what Otto's family put out today. They said, quote, "We have been respectful during this summit process. Now we must speak out. Kim and his evil regime are responsible for the death of our son, Otto. Kim and his evil regime are responsible for unimaginable cruelty and inhumanity. No excuses or lavish praise can change that." And that's what they're talking in regards to Donald Trump. Lavish praise. Excuses and lavish praise. That is what Donald Trump did yesterday, and he embarrassed the country. And he said, this is what he does to never forget Otto. Remember Otto. This is what he does. Take the word of an evil dictator. Well, President Trump responded. He responded on Twitter, and he always makes it about himself, and that's what he did again. He says, I never like being misinterpreted, but especially when it comes to Otto Warmbier and his great family. Remember, I got Otto out along with 3 others. So, of course, he makes it about himself again, and people want to bow down to Donald Trump for doing such a great job of getting Otto out when he was already basically a vegetable and then died a few days later. He goes on to say the previous administration did nothing. Well, I'll tell you one thing about the previous administration. They wouldn't have made the remarks that Trump made in regards to Kim. Oh, I believe him. He's a good guy. Great leader. That's what Trump said. He said Kim Jong Un is a great leader.
I love him.
Trump goes on to say, for Otto's mistreatment and death, most important, Otto Warmbier will not have died in vain. Otto and his family have become a tremendous symbol of strong passion and strength, which will last for many years into the future. I love Otto and think of him often. Well, apparently he wasn't thinking much about Otto yesterday, because what he should have done is he should have found out who did this. It is nonsense. It is horrible. And by the way, I'm not the only person speaking out about this, and Democrats are not the only people, putting Trump, his ass on the line here. Also, Republicans are, including former Republican Senator Rick Santorum, who couldn't be further right than anybody. He went on national television yesterday, and he called Donald Trump's words reprehensible. Good for him. He said, this is the conundrum of Donald Trump for many of us who like his policies and don't like a lot of things he does and says. Santorum also went on to say, this is reprehensible. Reprehensible, the word. And again, I don't understand why the president does this. I'm disappointed, to say the least, that he did it. And he is not the only Republican that is speaking out on this. And we had a lot of people that called into the show yesterday that are Trump supporters. And, we had one person calling that said, he should have just said no comment when he was asked that question, but he didn't do that. He bowed down to Kim Jong Un just like he does to Vladimir Putin every single time they meet, and it is a disgrace, and his actions are a disgrace. Open up the phone lines at 257-5396, 702-257-5396, but I want to ask you guys first. Let me start with you, Dennis. What do you make of this situation? What do you make of Otto's family speaking out and Donald Trump's remarks yesterday at the summit?
Well, number one, I'm glad that he did pose the question and made an inquiry as to, what was going on there. It's a horrendous tragedy, and my heart just really goes out to the family. It's just something that's just incredible. I can't imagine living like that. But I give him credit for at least trying to delve into it and find out what the hell this guy knew. But I am disappointed that he doesn't think, because in a regime, in a dictatorship like that, you better know this guy knows everything about everybody, and for him to say he doesn't know anything about it,
and to believe him
Yeah.
is a disgrace.
Well, it's not that he's actually believing him. If you look at the tweet, it says, "I do hold North Korea responsible," which means he holds Kim Jong Un responsible.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Look at the tweet that he posted.
I understand that what that tweet says, but when specifically asked about Kim Jong Un, he said he believed him when he said he knew nothing about it.
No, my issue, you're not letting me finish, Brian. My issue is that in person with Kim Jong Un, he didn't say that. There's a lack of consistency in his approach.
Well, he just backtracks.
Exactly. After he gets a lot of flack and heat about it, then he'll say, "Okay, well, I do hold them responsible."
Right.
He will say something to your face, and then say something.
First opportunity, he didn't say that,
because
and I do have an issue with that.
He'll say something to your face, and then he'll say something completely differently in another room, and this is the fraud that is Donald Trump.
I wish he would have said during this conference, if he said that, well, I understand. I hold your country responsible, but Mr. Chairman, I find it hard to believe that you didn't know what was going down.
He won't do
in
that.
Something like this.
He
Come on,
he won't do that because he's a coward.
He could have said no comment in person and then wrote this tweet. Which would have been perfectly fine.
Which he didn't do because he's impulsive and he's an idiot.
I just want to know who the hell is cutting this guy's hair. I mean, it's an abomination.
Well, I have no comment on that because I don't have any hair. Let's go to the phone lines at 257-5396. Again, 257-5396. Let's start with Gary. Gary, thanks for calling in. How are you, Gary?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Gary, what's on your mind?
I would ship the whole one bomb family over to North Korea. The whole family that wants to sue him. And he's a sniveling little coward that's sniveling and crying. He got what he's deserved.
What?
You heard me. You heard me clear.
Okay, well, first thing I'm going to do is hang up on you because what you said is just an absolute disgrace. I don't know if Gary's been doing a lot of the liquor drinking tonight, but to say that this kid Warmbier deserved what he got is probably one of the worst possible things you can say.
Sniveling coward?
Yeah,
What's up with that?
I think Gary's a little drunk. But if he wasn't drunk, he's a complete idiot. So it's either one or the other or possibly both. So I'm not even going to respond to that because it's such a ridiculous comment. 257-5396, the number to call again, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Tony. Tony, thanks for calling in. How are you? Tony, are you there? We've lost Tony. All right, Tony, thanks for calling in. Well, that's starting off the show really well. We got one guy. We got one guy who calls in who
one
says
drunk
it was,
and one guy, one hang up. Okay.
yeah. 257-5396, the number to call. Look, I'm going to be very clear. If there is anybody out there that thinks that it was Warmbier's fault or his family's fault with what transpired, you are a clown. You are a partisan clown. This is not the time. They lost their son. Looking back on it, you're damn right they wish they never allowed their son to go to North Korea because he lost his life for it. The kid took down a poster. Okay? I do worse things on a daily basis, probably. He took down a poster. Now, not in North Korea. And he lost his life, and he was murdered, clearly. They killed him. He didn't just, all of a sudden, his brain stopped working. Let's be clear about that. Our president is a coward when it comes to issues like this.
They turned this young man into an actual mental guinea pig.
Well, the word is that they gave him chemicals, some sort of chemicals, and apparently he was in this state 12 to 14 months before they shipped him back here, before they flew him back here. And Donald Trump wants to take credit for bringing him back because that's Donald Trump. But yet what he won't do is he won't stand up.
But he did bring him back.
Well, I mean, first of all,
how long was he over there for?
Do you think Donald Trump deserves any credit for this?
How long was Otto Warmbier over there for?
I believe it was somewhere along the lines of a few years. And they're saying he was in this state for 12 months.
I think it was a little over 18 months.
Yeah,
and
it was around that
supposedly
time.
they gave him these chemicals, Brian, interestingly enough, that purportedly were not going to be able to be detected.
Yeah.
That was the interesting thing. Yeah.
That's and that would not shock me. Okay, let's take a few phone calls here. 257-5396, the number to call. Again, 702-257-5396. We do have a few phone lines open. Let's go to Brian. Brian, thanks for calling in. How are you?
I'm doing okay, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing good, Brian. What's on your mind?
Well, I just want to say what I said last night. The thing that I really liked hearing from the Warmbier family today, how graceful they were in pushing back.
Right.
The fact that they waited until he was back on American soil
Good
and
point.
then let him know how upset they were with what he had to say.
That's a very, very good point.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And for the president to make an off-the-cuff statement while he's walking around and somebody sticks a microphone in his face is just atrocious. And I've said this many, many, many times. He doesn't know when to shut up. And this was one time where it's going to bite him squarely in the derriere for a good many days to come over this.
Yeah. Brian, can I ask you something?
This is the time where he needs to apologize.
I agree.
Publicly.
I agree.
And then he needs to go to them personally and
I agree.
apologize.
Brian, I couldn't agree with you more. You know what this reminds me of, Brian? You tell me if you agree with me or not. It reminds me a little bit, even though these are different scenarios, when he was on the stage with Vladimir Putin. Do you remember when he was asked in that press conference, do you think Russia interfered in the election in any way? And he said, I don't see any reason why, it would be Russia. You remember when he said that? And then a day or two later, when he took a lot of flack for that statement, he walked back his comments. He said he misspoke because he is a coward when it comes to issues like this.
Well, when he starts rambling off script, I just close my eyes and cover my ears.
cross your fingers and hope that he doesn't say something completely insane.
And
No,
like
I think that
two of
Trump,
the top guys in the world, diplomatic speakers, Pompeo and Bolton, he should have spent 5 minutes at that podium with Putin and then let Pompeo go up there and go have a little slugfest with him.
Yeah. Brian,
that would have been good.
I do think that Trump's tweet today, I think he knows he screwed up.
Well, he won't admit it. He won't admit that he screwed up, JD. That is the issue with Donald Trump. He never apologizes and he never admits he was wrong. Brian, very good phone call. There is a guy that has voted for Donald Trump, and I could not agree with him more. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Ron. Ron, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Good evening, gentlemen. How's everybody tonight?
Doing good,
Hey,
my
Ron.
man. What's on your mind?
Well, I got a comment about the young fella, that come back here dead, from North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, number one, who sent him over there? Number two, was he properly instructed not to mess around with North Korea? After all, everybody knows North Korea is what it is.
Ron,
So if you're going to play the game,
this isn't a
and
game.
try to be stupid.
This isn't a
you
game,
got it.
Ron. This is about
No,
human life.
Now, look. Now, let me finish. The man was 18 years old. He was no kid.
So what?
Everybody's saying he's a kid. He's
So
a
what?
Kid. 18 years old, you can join the Marine Corps and kill people.
So you have no sympathy for an 18-year-old who loses his life?
Don't judge me.
Wait a second. You don't want me to judge you, yet you're Are you a clown? You don't want me to judge you, and you're judging an 18-year-old kid who took a poster down and died, and you're blaming him and his family? How dare you, Ron?
Hey, Ron.
I am trying to make a judgment point now.
So you don't want me to judge you, but you're going to try to judge an 18. No, I'm not going to wait a minute. You don't want me to judge you.
Of what I got to say.
No, I'm not going to listen to the rest of you got to say because you sound like a freaking clown. That's why. You don't want me to judge you, but yet you're going to judge an 18-year-old that lost his life and was killed by this horrible regime for taking down a poster, and the first thing you can say to start the phone call is question his parents? You are a disgrace. As far as I'm concerned, you're worse than Donald Trump, and that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
That was the most aggressive cutoff signal I've ever seen you have right there. You look like a composer.
I'm not even going to have a discussion with somebody like that. The first thing he says in the phone call is, what was that kid? What was he doing over there? And he's not a kid.
Ron, he chose to go over there on a guided tour. He took a poster off a wall, and he was sentenced to 15 years of hard labor.
Yeah, but he wants to judge the 18-year-old and his family. You have... crap for brains. I can't say the other word. That's what you have. You are a complete disgrace. I hope idiots like you are not available to vote or can't vote. North
Korea waited until late 2017 to actually tell anybody that he had this neurological condition that they actually created for him.
And the
it's
thing
a terrible
too,
situation.
And the thing too that nobody or very little talk about, does the crime fit the punishment?
Of course
like JD said, 15 years for ripping down a poster. Come on,
it's ridiculous.
Of hard labor.
I agree. 257-5396 is the number to call. Again, 702-257-5396. Funny, I cut him off, and he says, don't judge me, yet he wants to judge an 18-year-old who was murdered. Let's just call it what it is, murdered for taking down a poster. We're just disgraceful. Let's go to Seth. Seth, thanks for calling in. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing good, Seth.
What's
on
up,
your
Seth?
mind?
I'm kind of mad you're calling my president a coward. I mean, I like to know what President Obama did as far as North Korea.
Okay, well, first of all,
a coward doesn't go up there
meet
with the evil dictator in person.
I'll answer your question. You just asked me a question. I'm not going to hang up on you, but let me respond. First of all, Barack Obama is not the president of the United States. Okay, Donald Trump is. So if you want to focus on Donald Trump, you asked a question. With all due respect, you asked a question. I'm going to answer it now. I'll tell you what a coward. A coward is somebody that goes up there against an evil dictator, Vladimir Putin, and takes his word for it over our own intelligence. That's a coward. A coward, when asked about...
our intelligence said that Kim Jong Un knew specifically...
Excuse me, what did I just say? I just said Vladimir Putin. Would you please listen and stop interrupting me?
But he misspoke, though.
Right. So you believe that he misspoke, just like you believe that he was a victim.
He did it. So who's right? You or me?
Well, our own intelligence. Excuse me, Seth.
But he's not disagreeing with the intelligence. He just said he misspoke. He's not disagreeing.
Okay, so let's just say you're right. Let's just say he misspoke, which is beyond.
Why am I not right?
Okay, why don't you take a deep breath and let me finish answering your ridiculous question? Okay, now let's go to Kim.
It's not ridiculous.
Yes, it is. Okay.
You hate Trump.
Okay, yeah, that's what it is. No, I hate people like you. I hate people like you. That's who I hate.
He also hates Trump.
No, I hate people like you.
He's a never-Trumper. He's a never-Trumper.
Here's why I hate people like you, Seth, because you've never criticized Trump for anything, and you're a Trump apologist.
Why is it not possible that he just happened to misspeak? I mean, he's
you know what? Let's just say let's just say you're 100% right. Let's move on to Kim Jong Un.
Okay.
Donald Trump, invited Warmbier's parents to the State of the Union. He promised that he would get down to the bottom of this. He said he would never forget Warmbier, and he didn't die in vain. And he goes on a stage when asked about it. This kid was in a vegetative state for 14 months. And
how did he get? Okay, but how did he get into a vegetative state?
He said, "Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
At prison and beat up by a bunch of inmates."
No, he was not beat up because logic. And when we examined his body, excuse me, do you know that there are doctors? Do you know that there are people that can try to figure out? They actually did something when you died. Do you know what that's called? When they check your body out, have you ever heard of that?
I believe that's called an autopsy.
Yeah, have you ever heard of an autopsy, Seth?
What did the autopsy say?
The autopsy said that there was no physical damage outside the body, that there was something neurological. He didn't get enough oxygen to the brain. I'm trying to answer your question.
He was saying he was in a vegetative state for 12 months.
12 to 14 months. That is correct.
Okay, so if he was beat up, there's no way.
He wasn't beat up. do you not listen to what I just
You
said?
don't do what I'm saying. An
Oh, my
autopsy would not
God.
pick it up 14 months later.
Seth.
Now he's a doctor.
An autopsy would
Now
not
he's a
pick it
doctor.
up 14 months later. Now I'm getting my point.
You are
My
just
point
Seth, my biggest issue with this is that North Korea did not report this until late 2017.
Yeah, Seth wants
Okay,
to ignore
well,
facts.
that's an issue.
That's a big issue.
Oh,
Now,
it's just an issue.
Now,
It's
Brian,
just an issue.
what exactly did Kim Jong Un say when asked about his involvement?
He doesn't know what.
Okay, I believe he.
No,
I believe Seth. I believe
But
he
he
asked the
knew
host.
that he messed up
Seth,
and
I believe
covered
he
it up.
asked.
That part was
Seth,
bad.
I believe he asked the host of the show, not you. So can you please be quiet for 10 seconds? Then I'll let you talk. Thank you. JD asked me a question. What did Kim Jong Un say? We don't have a recording of Kim Jong Un, but Donald Trump said that he felt very badly about what happened, and he didn't know anything about it. He didn't have any idea what happened to him, and, he wasn't a part of it.
He did not take responsibility in any capacity whatsoever.
You know what? You know what strikes me odd of people like you, Seth, and a lot of things strike me odd about somebody like you is you'll take the word just like Donald Trump. Excuse me. Excuse me. I will let you talk if you don't interrupt me. I just said what strikes me odd of people like you is you take the word of two evilest dictators in Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong Un. I've never heard you say one negative thing about Donald Trump. You are a biased buffoon, and I lied to you. I'm not going to let you respond because you are a buffoon. Have a nice day.
Now, I don't have as big of a problem with the Putin situation as this one.
I'm having a sip of soda. You got to keep talking. When I sip soda, don't stare at me like an alien. Keep talking. No, I'm just kidding. All right, the number to call, 257-5396. Again, that number to call, 702-257-5396. It is amazing to me that there are naive people out there like our last caller who just called in, who wants to take Kim Jong-un's word, wants to take Vladimir Putin's word, wants to just assume that Donald Trump is the victim of all this. You know, those are the people in this country that really scare me. And then we have a guy like Brian who calls in, who I respect a great deal because he can admit when Donald Trump makes a mistake. You know, we can disagree on something, but that last caller, that guy is just... He just has no idea what he's talking. He doesn't even know what the word autopsy means. All right, let's take the next caller. 257-5396. Let's go to Johnny. Johnny, thanks for calling in. How are you, Johnny?
Good, man. You know, the thing about it is one little thing you missed what Seth was talking about is what did Obama do? Obama did.
Why are you bringing up Obama?
He did nothing.
But do you know why? Do you know why he did nothing?
Hold on, we can't have four people talking at once.
Say, man, Obama didn't do shit.
Hey.
Okay, hang up on this guy. Obviously, he doesn't know there's FCC regulations. You can't swear on the air, you dummy.
Hey, John.
You could say caca.
Obama's presidency was basically ending when this was starting. This happened in 2016. Obama was out of office in late 2016.
For the last buffoon who just called in, who doesn't know how
now, had this happened in 2012, 2013, okay. But Obama wasn't given enough time to do anything about this.
Okay, let me just respond to that last caller. For the last guy who just called in, who obviously clearly doesn't know how to talk on or probably off the air, it's funny how we talk about Donald Trump and idiots like you want to bring up Obama. We're not talking about Barack Obama. He's not the president of the United States. If you want to talk about Barack Obama, you should have called into a show several years ago. That was the time to talk about Obama. Donald Trump is our president now, you buffoon. I'm not talking about Obama.
It's a relevant question. It's not going to go anywhere because he wasn't really doing anything.
Obama wasn't doing anything because he was too damn busy packing $150 billion into suitcases to give to Syria.
Which was a mistake. But you know what's, in my opinion...
Huge mistake.
You know what I think is even a bigger mistake? Siding with evil, murderous dictators and not supporting our own here at home and what happened to this poor kid and what his family goes through every day. And you got people out there that just want to bring up Obama. Those are the same people that cannot criticize Donald Trump for anything. You are biased and you have zero credibility. Next phone call, 257-5396. I believe our next caller is Ted, if I'm not mistaken. Ted, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you, sir.
Hi, Ted.
Well, you know, my position is I don't hate Trump. I like to believe I don't hate anybody.
Ted, I don't want to do this. Ted, I don't want to do this to you. Wait on the line because I have to take a quick break, and we'll get to your call right when we come back. You're listening to the Vegas Take. We'll be back right after this.